Good evening, Bucknutters. Welcome to What We Learned Live following Ohio State's 38-7 win over Michigan State. It didn't start great, ended fantastic. I thought the Buckeyes looked fantastic for most of the game. There were some things I did not like. We'll get to that. But overall, I thought Ohio State played very well. Welcome to the show. We'll hear from Heath Schneider, a.k.a. Heater, in a moment. We'll hear from Patrick Murphy and Steve Helwagen live from Spartan Stadium. Welcome to the show. I am Dave Biddle. Ohio State 38, Michigan State 7. Very good win for the Buckeyes. They were favored by 23.5. They win by 31. We'll take that, and they took their foot off the gas late. So I loved Ryan Day getting mad at Julian Sane was trying to throw the ball deep there very late in the game. But good win for the Buckeyes. I want to hear from you guys. First of all, we continue to learn that Jeremiah Smith, Dan Rubin even texted me about this. Like I wasn't going to talk about it anyway, but like seriously, like we continue and Jeremiah Smith continues to exceed the hype. We didn't think that was possible that he would exceed the hype. He continues to exceed the hype. I want to see more of Caden McDonald. I continue to learn that. I love Caden McDonald. I thought Will Howard was shaky at times tonight, but then he also made some good plays. But I thought overall, I need to see more consistency from Will Howard. But you'll take it. I mean, listen, I thought early on Ohio State got kind of lucky. You know, like fourth down stop, that wasn't really lucky. I mean, Ty Hamilton made a great play there to dive there low. I thought that was a great play by Ty Hamilton. Ty Hamilton had another play too. I mean, he played his butt off. I'd love to see Ty Hamilton and Caden McDonald in there together. I know they're both technically one techs. Those should be interchangeable. Ty Hamilton played really good, but, you know, Michigan State had a couple of turnovers deep in Ohio State territory. So I thought Ohio State got a little bit lucky early, but they just overwhelmed the Spartans. Caleb Downs came to play. That was Caleb Downs' breakout performance for a Buckeye. I was looking at the stats. I was like, man, he had 107 tackles at Alabama last year, and he had I think 8 tackles through 3 games this year. Caleb Downs showed up. My gosh, Jeremiah Smith is unbelievable. He's like, oh, he just made a one-handed catch. That was awesome. I can't believe he just makes a better one-handed catch for a touchdown. Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be things that are not perfect, but 38-7 over Michigan State at Michigan State. They hired a good coach, by the way, my friends. I think Jonathan Smith was a good hire by Michigan State. I think they did a good job bringing him in. He inherited a mess. I think they're going to be this young quarterback next year, 2 years from now, they're going to be a problem. Yeah, they need a free 98. That's right, Duncan Montz. Yeah, I want to see more of Caden McDonald. He just destroys the line of scrimmage. Frankly, I wish he could play for the Cincinnati Bengals right now. They need a big run plugger in there. All right, let's get some let's hear some of your comments here. Start with Lynn's Breezy. She says, I am still very worried about Oregon and Penn State. See, I mean, Oregon's playing UCLA tonight. Penn State did not look that good against Illinois. They did win. Illinois covered, though. I never understood why that spread was 18.5. Penn State ended up winning by 14, but it was tight. I mean, it was 7 points late. Yeah, I agree with this. Yeah, the linebackers need to play better. They just do. I mean, Arvell Reese flashes every time I see him, but the linebackers have to play better. I agree with that. So let's go through some of the things. Again, Ty Hamilton, so impressive. I thought overall the pressure was good. 4 sacks tonight, at least 4 sacks. They got one late, excuse me, but at least 4 sacks when I was jotting down my notes here. Julian Sand, man, he had that one dart that he threw in there. It's like, ooh, to Bryson Rogers. Or as Jeremiah Smith calls him, Big Head B-Rod. People are like, why is he calling him Big Head? It's because literally he's got a big head. Not figuratively. His noggin is large. He literally has a big head. So that's why he calls him Big Head B-Rod. But that was an absolute dart from Julian Sand, who will be your starting quarterback next year. There's no doubt in my mind. So we'll see what happens. Penn State does win. Yeah, it's a final over Illinois, 14. Let's go through some more things. I don't understand why they don't do the rugby style tackling. I asked Jim Knowles about that when he first took over, and he said, yeah, I'm into it, the rugby style tackling. guys were coming in there now, and they have certain guys that can tackle well, like Caleb Downs, Lathan Ransom. They got guys that can tackle. But too many times I see guys coming in there like they don't have arms. Like they just have a head. Like they fly in there like they're like a missile with just their head. They don't wrap up. It's like, man, wrap up, twist, turn, rugby-style tackling. I don't get it. And Jim Knowles even talked this week about how, the one thing he needs to see from his linebacker specifically is better tackling. And they're still missing too many tackles. All right, let's get to some of more of your questions. JJ Smith is amazing. That is true, Mike T. Kyle, Caden Curry, and Caden McDonald have to play more. I agree. I'm glad you brought this up. This is also in my notes, but I'm glad that David on YouTube brought this up. Travion Henderson, woo! I mean, he made at least 2 great blocks, great pass pro blocks. I'm not saying he's going to remind me of Ezekiel Elliott, who's the best blocking running back I've ever seen, in addition to being a great running back, period. Zeke's the standard. Man, and Travion's not as big as him. He stonewalled a couple of guys. Love seeing that. So good call on you, David Snyder. Yes, Charles LG on YouTube. Offensive line got pushed around a little bit. I thought they eventually got it going, though. Michigan State was definitely trying to crash the line of scrimmage and daring Ohio State to throw. So, and I thought Will Howard, I've been very impressed with Will Howard overall. Tonight, though, I was like, geez. A couple of times I was like, no, you got to be way better than that. Now, again, though, I thought overall he played well. So you guys don't like the Peacock, huh? Willis Styles. Peacock streaming is freaking awful. I'm glad I did not pay a subscription to watch this game. Well, I mean, you always could just pay it and then cancel it. I'm glad you didn't waste your money, though. Maybe you found a bar that had it. Gabe Powers with a really nice hit there late. Chris on Facebook talking about Gabe Powers, says he's going to be special. It's good seeing a linebacker out there wearing the 36 for the Buckeyes. Big Ron Hen says slow starts may hurt us later. Yeah, that is becoming a trend, is it not? Good to see G. Scott get out there. 3 catches early in the game, including a touchdown. Good to see G. Scott get out there. I didn't even see who this was. This is my friend Aaron Bame, my guy Aaron Bame, who I played ball with growing up. I didn't even see who this was, but I immediately agreed with this. The interception was bad from Will Howard. True, Aaron. Colt McCoy sounds like an intern. True. I'm sitting there like, who is the? Every time I would forget like 5 times. Like, who is making? Oh yeah, it's Colt McCoy. Listen, if you guys are. It's a good thing about being a football player, man. If you fail your pro career, you can just be an announcer, even if you're terrible at it, like Colt McCoy. Jeez. Imagine being like that bad and getting a job doing this. It's unbelievable. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Caleb Downs is on fire. That's right, Brian on Facebook. Caleb Downs looked great. Bobby is saying he would take McCord over Howard. I wouldn't. Did you see McCord against Stanford last week? Eesh. Even McCord threw 2 interceptions against Holy Cross today. Just saying. Alabama looks good. Matthew says Alabama might jump Ohio State. Maybe, but Georgia's going to fall. So, I mean, frankly, Alabama, if you're Alabama, wouldn't you say you should jump Ohio State, even though it's nothing against Ohio State? It's like you just beat Georgia when everybody was like, well, Georgia was favored. Barely, but Georgia was favored. Alabama took it to them. If we're like Alabama fans, we would say the exact same thing. Like they should be definitely favored, they should be ranked over Ohio State. I don't care. It doesn't even matter. It's going to like work itself out. I'm just glad I can see Heath Schneider, my man in Amsterdam. Right. Good to see you, my man.
Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Good game.
Good win. Good win. Yeah, man. I mean, it was a slow start. I was not happy early, but we happy? We happy.
Oh,
yeah.
we happy.
Oh,
we definitely happy.
We happy.
I'm with you. I didn't hear the stuff that you might have been talking about before. I will tell you, I watched. I was at the game last week with Marshall, and watched them be smooth on that first drive. I watched Michigan State be smooth on their first drive, all the way until the end, and just kept on thinking to myself, what is it? We're having a great second half defense, which I absolutely love. But that first half, especially the closer you get to the beginning of the game, it seems the more warm butter the defense is. In fairness, they did tighten up, and it was kind of a bend but don't break. But I'd like to see a break their backs and step on their necks kind of defense from the very beginning.
I'm with you, man. I mean, that's why. Overall, I'm pleased. You beat Michigan. You're favored by 23 on the road. You win by 31. Take your foot off the gas. I'm pleased overall. But yeah, just like I'm sure Ryan Day and the coaches, there's things to work on for sure. I mean, they've got to get off to better starts. So this has become a trend where they get off to slow starts, and like you can get away with it with these 4 teams. You might not be able to get away with it at Oregon, for example.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm going to be in Las Vegas watching the game at the Harrah's Sportsbook when they play Oregon with a group of friends of mine. However, I agree with you 100%. That is a game that you can't mess around on. No matter how bad Oregon looked for the first couple of weeks, we still know they have a rack of talent out there, and you cannot get off with a slow start against Oregon. And it happened on offense too. While the offense was just humming down the field at the beginning of the game, you get into a first and goal. I think it was first and goal situation, and you get your foolish, unnecessary roughness for extracurricular activity after the whistle. And your head blows apart, and you try to understand what the heck is going on and what possesses somebody in that situation on the road, your first road test. It's going to be bad weather while it was still good weather at that point. You knew it was going to be bad weather, and you just go ahead and bring the crowd right back into it. You could have really just started to crush the will and take the crowd out of it entirely, and then you go off and do that, and you have to settle for a field goal. It's inexcusable, and it needs to be dealt with. Put the guy out doing gassers until he throws up.
I want to see more of Caden McDonald, my friend. Big 98.
Yeah, right. Hey, by the way, before we go there, we had a JTT sighting. We talked about him last week. He does exist. He was in his natural habitat, the backfield. He just doesn't seem to like the natural habitat over the last couple of years. And then there he was. It was great to see.
That's hilarious. Yeah, but I want to see more of Caden McDonald. I mean, they started Hero Canoe last week. They started Tywone Malone tonight. It's like Larry Johnson's too into the 3-tech, 1-tech, in my opinion.
Yeah,
those should be interchangeable.
Yeah, they are totally interchangeable. And when you watched oh man, I'm trying to remember. It was in the second half, and they did a slant and they stunt, and they shot through and got the running back in the backfield. And I can't remember who did it. Do you remember the play?
Oh, Ty Hamilton?
Yes, thank you, Ty Hamilton.
Yes, I loved that play. Oh,
yes.
Ty Hamilton had 2 great plays. That was one of them, though. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and that one was fantastic. Like that set up exactly the way you would expect it to when you run that kind of defense, and he just slashed through like it was nothing. It was beautiful to see. By the way, another beautiful thing to see. Have you seen I have not seen the wide receivers block this well since Urban was the head coach. It's absolutely fantastic. And the way they're using the wideouts and pulling them and using them on the running play as an extra blocker is innovative for anything we've ever done. And it is fantastic to watch each of those wideouts blocking hard for everybody else. and then of course getting their reward at the back end when they get a ball.
I love that you brought that up. And here's what I think. Early I was thinking like J.J. Smith, like he's so great, but wasn't seeing it as a blocker. Not that he was like afraid to block, but just wasn't seeing it maybe the first couple games. Carnell Tate's out there getting a lot of love blocking. Rightfully so, because he's doing a great job. Then we see a Mecca out there blocking. No surprise. Yeah. Now we're seeing Jeremiah Smith out there blocking really, really, really well tonight. It's contagious, man. Your guys are out there. You're watching film. You don't want to be the guy that's like the guy that people are like, why aren't you out there like blocking well? You want to be the guy that's out there, especially for 6'3", 215, like J.J. Smith. You're like, I can block well too. It's contagious, man. And they're out there. Brian Hartline was a good blocker. I was there right on the field that 2006 Iowa game at Iowa. Redshirt freshman Brian Hartline took out 2 guys on the same play on an Anthony Gonzalez touchdown from Troy Smith. I was standing right there on the sideline when it happened. Brian Hartline, bam, skinny Brian Hartline takes out 2 guys on the same play. He's teaching his guys how to block.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And to be honest and fair, there was a lot of not blocking over the last couple of years. And it is a mentality that has completely changed. And I think it rubbed off on Travion in the backfield when he picked up that blitz. That was a Zeke type of blitz pickup. That was absolutely fantastic to see.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I said the exact same thing. Not quite to Zeke's level. Pretty good. How about a Mecca with the pancake on the linebacker?
Oh, that was fantastic to watch.
Woo! Let's go.
Anytime you get the typical mindset of a wide receiver, and allow me to stereotype because sometimes stereotypes are true. Wide receivers are what? Prima donnas, right? And so when you have a wide receiver that takes that prima donna hat off and puts a helmet on, and especially when it's a helmet on a linebacker, it is so fantastic. I mean, chef's kiss kind of stuff, man. And when you bring those extra guys into the scheme and they're actually doing their job of blocking, this is why we're getting those long runs. This is why we're getting those long, not just long runs from scrimmage, but the catch and runs, all of that kind of stuff it just builds on itself when you see that kind of success, and it snowballs, and it's this kind of blocking that the wide receivers I tell you, I have not seen this since Urban Meyer was there, and it's so fantastic to see.
Yeah, we have somebody like, I agree with this. Bilal Emeka is turning into Evan Spencer with his blocking. I mean, Carnell Tate is too. Carnell Tate has been all along. I love it. it. Carnell Tate doesn't get props that he should by the general public for the amount of blocking he does. Like, he really works at the craft. For sure. Your take on Will Howard tonight. Overall, I've been very impressed with Will Howard, and I would take him over Kyle McCord 100 times out of 100. Your thoughts tonight. How'd you feel about Will Howard tonight?
So I wrote it in my immediately after the game analysis. I like Will Howard more and more the more I see him. However, he had 2 plays. He's good for 1 or 2 plays that you just kind of throw your arms in the air and you're like, what were you thinking, dude? And the one was the INT, and right before that, the near INT in the end zone when he didn't see the safety poaching over, and should really, I mean, the safety proved why he's a safety and not a wideout, right? You're a defensive back because you don't have great hands, and so he dropped that ball. But later on, you get the same thing. I love the fire that he brings. I love the leadership he brings. He brings a toughness. He seems to largely make good, sound decisions. He doesn't panic. He doesn't throw downfield a lot, but he really hasn't had to yet this year. I would like to see him, when he does throw downfield, have some more success than what he's had. But on those out patterns, he was throwing dimes today, so that was great to see. I am more and more a Will Howard fan with each passing game.
By the way, mea culpa. I'm glad. I mean, Bama was absolutely blowing out Georgia. Now we got a game.
Oh, what's it at? I didn't even
Georgia
see the score lately.
Only down by 5 after it looked like Bama was going to blow them out. So, little Saturday night fever here. 33-28.
Hey, on the subject of other games, have you seen a more blown call in a more crucial moment than the Minnesota onside kick that they recovered?
That was incredibly shady. Like, at least they didn't do it after it was recovered. Like, First of all, when you replay, how is that not reviewable? They weren't even offsides. Even if they were barely offsides, which they weren't, to call that would have been very, very shady. Because all the time, and then they replayed it like they weren't offsides. I mean, Michigan should have lost that game. And looking like Michigan was going to blow out Minnesota. The fact that Minnesota almost won that game in Ann Arbor. I mean, I can't wait for Michigan to come here.
Oh, I cannot wait. So I posted on the message boards the picture of the exact moment the toe meets ball, and that guy from Minnesota is nowhere near crossing the line. Again, sure, it's at an angle, and maybe he crossed the plane. He didn't cross the plane. But to watch Michigan choke on applesauce, the applesauce that is Minnesota, is absolutely absurd. To sit there and think that Sharon Moore is not overmatched, because he absolutely is. And to watch that team that is supposed to be a defending national champion, cough, cough. It is the worst defense of a national championship I've seen in ages.
Yeah, they're 4-1, so we'll see.
Yeah.
And listen, they're quality wins over USC, who looked like garbage until they turned it on late in the second half against Wisconsin. Wisconsin is not good, and Wisconsin was up 21-10?
21-10 at the half.
Yeah, and then fell apart, of course.
Oh my gosh, they absolutely. I mean, they melted in the sun. It was crazy.
Georgia just took the lead, huh? Wow.
Oh, did they?
Wow.
What is going on, Alabama? How are you not better than this?
Touchdown, Georgia. That's crazy. Boom,
wow.
Boom, boom. All right. Well, we're going to talk Ohio State. You guys can, we'll talk Georgia, Alabama. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, by the way, I was just looking at the yards that they gave up tonight, which was 264 or 246. They gave up more to Marshall last week than they did to Michigan State tonight. In both games, it was second half adjustments, right? Adjustments at the half, and they just came out and locked it down. While I hate seeing that first half where it is absolutely warm knife through butter, it seems, especially that opening drive of the game. Kudos to the halftime adjustments by the defense. They're making great adjustments. What they gave up 64 yards or some such to Marshall last week. Marshall last week. I don't know what it was this week, but it wasn't a lot. Because I wish I had the halftime. Hold on. I can take a look. 131 and 55, about 186 out of the 264. They gave up less than 100 yards in the second half. So that's fantastic. Our halftime adjustments are wonderful so far on defense this year.
And by the way, I was waiting for Caleb. I knew it was coming. I was waiting for Caleb Downs' breakout performance. Well, that happened tonight. He looks great. Flying in there.
He was playing Caleb Downhill was going absolutely like he was everywhere. And did you see the one where I want to talk two running plays? The first one is the Caleb Downs where he just met the guy right in the hole, maybe a yard, maybe the guy got a yard, but he was going full speed right into the running back and hit him one-on-one. It was fantastic. Caleb Downs, I'll be open and honest, I didn't watch a lot of him last year, or didn't focus on him. I watched Alabama. I didn't focus on him. He's an instinct player. But he's also a heady and smart player. He adjusts. We are lucky that he decided to come here because he is absolutely what this defense needed. It was fantastic to watch him come in, and he's doing exactly what we would have hoped him to do. The second one was the first half, the 4th and 1 at the 20, and Cody Simon just absolutely blew up the quarterback run and met him over the pile and did not give up an inch once they met. It was, of course, they didn't get it. They didn't convert, and it was fantastic to watch. He held him up long enough that he got the help he needed, but he wasn't going anywhere. Even when the running back came in for a push from behind, Simon didn't bend.
I'm not going to say the man's name here. If you're watching, you can read it for yourself. It says, Downs is the best linebacker we have. I see.
Thank you, Hugh. Yeah. I mean, Mr. Jass.
Yes, that's exactly right. Boy, this Alabama-Georgia game is drunk. My gosh, Georgia takes the lead late, and then Alabama first play of the next drive, 75-yard touchdown.
What is it, 39-34 right now?
Bama back up 40-34. 40-34.
That's crazy.
Or what? Wait a minute, was it 39?
They playing defense 41, down in the SEC?
41. They got the 2 point. 41-34. 41-34.
Wow. I guess they're not playing defense down there anymore.
No, I don't think they are. Good to see Denzel Burke get a interception. Good to see Ohio State. I love the aggressiveness on 4th down.
Yeah.
And the efficiency as well. I like that as well.
Yeah. So all except for the 4th down at the end of the game when Julian Sands was like, hey, I'm going for broke. Let's try to complete the 30-yard pass on 4th down. Aside from that, the 4th down activity looked really, really good. Love to see. So I love to see Will Howard move the ball across. It was great. It was, who was it? Was it Trey or was it Judkins that converted the one? I think it was Judkins.
Yeah, barely. Oh yeah,
that was barely got across.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
All you got to do is break the plane. So it's a beautiful thing. I think. I love the mentality of these are people that we should be beating. These are people that we're going to beat. Let's go for it on 4th down because that's kind of that's a beautiful thing.
All right, my man in Amsterdam, Heath Schneider. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Have a great time, Patrick. Good to see you, even though it's on my way out, brother.
Everybody get on Bucknuts, read Heaters immediately after the game analysis. Good stuff, Heater. Appreciate it, my man. Let's bring in Patrick Murphy live from Spartan Stadium. Patrick, good to see you. How you doing?
Fine. We had to fight our way onto the field and then get kicked off the field, and they have some interesting rules here at Spartan Stadium, but no one cares about that. That's not we won't go into them.
I care. I want to hear more about that. I've been there. What happened? You guys were trying to get on the field as media, and there was some like jabroni like trying to get a little ahead of his skis there. See, this is what happens. You talk crap about the workers at Spartan Stadium, and then Patrick's Wi-Fi just cuts out. That can't be a coincidence. Here, we'll get Patrick back here. We'll get Patrick back. Pat, can you hear me? There he is.
Yeah, sorry. I was still on the Wi-Fi, so it wasn't connecting. It's been interesting. Apparently they changed their rules since COVID, except it wasn't the case 2 years ago. But I digress. I ended up where I needed to be.
There you go. We have I digress. I haven't had one the entire show, so thank you. People on our message board will get a nice drink out of that. I digress. All right, post-game press conference. What stood out from Coach Day and the players?
Yeah, so we talked to Coach Day, Jeremiah Smith. Obviously, he stood out. Emeka Egbuka, Cody Simon, Will Howard, and Jordan Hancock. We'll start, obviously, with Jeremiah Smith. I mean, yeah, you wrote the story this week, including how humble he is. And he's talking about these 2 catches as if they're like routine plays and doesn't want to go into it too much. He was asked if the touchdown was his favorite catch, and he said, no, the one before, which was just, both are ridiculous one-handed catches, right? And, you're talking to Emeka Egbuka about that fourth down play, the touchdown, and Will Howard delivering. Will Howard talked about the trust that the coaches have to let him throw on fourth down instead of either deciding to punt or just taking it safe and maybe running the ball and try and pick it up. I think it was 4th and 5. So the offense obviously pretty positive. Will Howard talked about his interception, as did Ryan Day. Ryan Day said, Will knows that can't happen. Howard said, basically, he made a mistake. He was hurried up because the clock was running down. He probably should have continued to go through his progressions. But he also said that, and he said this last week too after the interception, that you go to the sideline and there's no panic. He's not concerned. He knows that they'll get it fixed. And I think that's important. You don't want to have those plays, but when you do, I think you want the right response to them. And I do think having a veteran quarterback like that instead of a younger guy who maybe hasn't done it before, that shows up. Defensively, look, they certainly got some things fixed in the second half. This is the second straight game where the first half was undesirable, I guess. And this week, at least, you didn't have the starting quarterback leave the game, so you still got to see the defense make the adjustments, and they certainly did. I don't like some of the stuff that was happening in the first half with Michigan State driving, and Jordan Hancock and Cody Simon kind of echoed that. But you do get the turnovers, which were important to kind of turn the tide there, and in crucial spots. So they know there's a lot to clean up with those. And yes, the turnovers are good, but letting Michigan State basically drive into the red zone 2 times, not good.
No, they continue to start slow, but overall, I was impressed. I mean, you go into this game, you're favored by 23 on the road, you win by 31. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but overall, I thought Ohio State played well, but they continue to start slow. What was your take on Will Howard? Because I've been impressed with him overall. I thought he was a little shaky overall tonight.
Well, he started hot in terms of, I think he was like 12 of 13 before the interception or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but he was putting it on the money. The interception we talked about. I think you got to see a little bit more of his legs. The one play for the touchdown, the 6-yard run. I'm sitting next to our friend Andy Anders in the press box from 11 Warriors, and as they're lining up, he had the play called, and it was honestly like, well, Michigan State should hire you as a defensive coordinator or a Connor Stallions type to get the play ready, because Andy knew it right away exactly what was going to happen. And you could see if you look back on the replay, like it was there from the moment they lined up. So, I think the veteranness of Will Howard, his ability with his legs, and I do think for the most part, he's making good decisions, taking care of the football. You can't have an interception like that in bigger games down the road because it will be more costly against an Oregon, a Penn State, maybe in a college football playoff game. But I think that maybe those happening now and getting them out of his system and sort of learning from them is important. Ryan Day talked about, he's still learning some of this offense, which I know he's been here for several months now and whatnot, but he's only 4 games in, and obviously games are different especially for a quarterback. Not trying to make excuses for Will Howard. He's got to clean that stuff up. But if you look back at Kansas State, this isn't a guy who was never turning the ball over. He wasn't C.J. Stroud. He had a season with 10 interceptions. He's fumbled before. So I think for the most part, he's kept it clean, and we'll have to continue to work on that.
Caleb Downs showed out tonight. I was really impressed with him.
Yes.
I mean, this safety combination with Caleb Downs and Lathan Ransom is just lethal. And Jordan Hancock, you consider him a safety or corner or whatever. He's balling out. The entire secondary is fantastic.
Yeah, I did think Davison Igbinosun got picked on a little bit today.
Yeah.
I will be interested to see, Michigan State was without 2 receivers for the last couple games that both came back today. So Ohio State obviously knew that these guys may come back, but not as much film on those guys. So I wonder if that maybe played a part. I'll be interested to see if other teams try and target Davison as like the weak link in terms of the secondary. I still think you can throw in these linebackers, which is another issue. But yeah, Caleb Downs, I'm glad you brought him up. I thought these first few games he's played really well. He just hasn't put up numbers, and so we haven't talked about him a lot. But the way that they move him around, the different ways that he can be used, I think you're going to start to see that more and more in Big Ten play. And obviously, I don't know what he ended up with in terms of tackles, but he was, especially in the first half, it was impressive what he was doing. And you saw Ryan Day talked about the speed that he plays with, and not only because of his athleticism, but just the preparation, which we've heard about from him and how he prepares. He just kind of knows what's going to happen, so he can react a lot quicker than a lot of guys, and I think that showed up today.
Last thing, we'll get you out of here. We'll hear from Steve Helwagen soon, I think. Jeremiah Smith, I mean, the hype is immense, and he continues to exceed the hype. It's amazing. This kid is amazing, Patrick.
Amazing. I don't even know if that's the right word anymore. I said on our live updates thing that I was doing, I keep thinking, well, he can't exceed that, right? And then he does, and it literally happened within a few plays of each other today with those 2 catches. And the one, obviously, the second one, the touchdown one, it was even more impressive because you have Devin Brown coming in. You trust Devin Brown to throw that up there. And Ryan Day said, if I believe it was an RPO, if you're going to throw it, make sure it's somewhere where only your guy can get it, because they knew they had the field goal in the bag if that was an incomplete. And, a guy who hasn't played a ton, hasn't thrown a ton, and Jeremiah Smith just makes it look easy for him, by making that one-handed catch. And again, I said it before, referencing your story, he's just so humble about it. He could come in here and be like the diva receiver type, which Ohio State really hasn't dealt with, and he's not that way at all. And he has every right to be, frankly. He was actually standing right behind, I tweeted this out, Ryan Day, because he was the first player into the press conference room, and Ryan Day says, he's starting to come out of his shell a little bit. And Jeremiah was on his phone, and he looks up and just kind of laughs. And, I think they are probably still learning about Jeremiah Smith, the guy, as you also are learning about what kind of player he is. I can't imagine a guy with that much expectation and how you deal with that. There's few people that have done that in sports. A LeBron James, a Michael Jordan, guys like that live up to this hype. And it's only 4 games in, but I think we're clearly looking at a special player. I think he's 2 or 3 touchdown receptions away from the all-time Ohio State freshman receiving record. Like, we're 4 games into the season. He may do that next week against Iowa, for whatever it is. And he took a rushing touchdown today, which was another fun play from Chip Kelly and the staff. So, look, I'm glad they're finding other ways to use him too. You don't want to overuse him, but when you have a special talent like that, I think you got to figure out ways to get the ball in his hands or hand, as it may be, because of those one-handed catches.
Great stuff from Patrick Murphy live from Spartan Stadium. Appreciate it, my friend. Thank you, Patrick.
All right. See you, Dave.
Appreciate it, man. Good stuff from Patrick, as always. Does a great job. The host of the Bucknuts Happy Hour. Does a bunch of great stuff for us at Bucknuts. Great stuff from Patrick. We'll hear from Steve Helwagen, I believe, shortly. Unless there's Steve says he's going to hop on shortly. That's good. Let's get to some of your comments and questions here. Brian says he's telegraphing. Talking about Will Howard, I noticed that too. Too often he's predetermining and he's telegraphing his throws. Again, overall, I've been impressed with Will Howard. I like him, but you're right. He has been telegraphing a little too much. Christopher Knowles makes good second half adjustments. He does. And I think that's a sign of a good coach if you're making good adjustments. If you're not making good adjustments, that's a sign of a bad coach. So I like Knowles. And we're going to get to, I know a lot of you are talking about why are they so far off the line of scrimmage. I know. We're getting a lot of that. MJ says, I'm done. Can't listen about the offense anymore. The corners play 10 yards off the ball every time, and they're supposed to be Sunday players. I know. I don't like that either. Let's hear from Steve Helwagen. Steve, welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, Dave, what's going on?
What stood out most from post-game interviews, if you would, sir?
Well, I think everybody just, agog over what Jeremiah Smith did there right before halftime with he climbed the ladder and made a one-handed catch, with the guy draped all over him. And then with Devin Brown filling in for one play, Devin makes a great throw where only his guy can get it over the top, and he goes up and snags it out of the air with one hand and glides into the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, that's just ridiculous, the things that we were doing. I wrote in the story that, people have talked about in the first 3 games that he's lived up to the hype as the nation's number 1 player. The hell with that. number one prospect in the 2024 class. I said, hell with that. He's the number one player in the 18-team Big Ten, and I don't think there's even much of a doubt about that, if not one of the top players in the country right now. So 6 touchdowns through 4 games. I know we got to tap the brakes a little bit, but first road game, first Big Ten game, and, he and the Buckeyes, other than allowing Michigan State to sustain some drives on defense, it was it was really something. I'm watching this game. I'm on streaming with a little bit of delay. I've got 49 seconds left, and George is at about the 15-yard line, so I'm probably a play or two behind, but this is crazy what's going on here.
Crazy game. It looked like Alabama was just going to blow them out. Alabama is winning 41-34, but Georgia is driving. Georgia has the ball at Alabama's 20. You said it's a 15 on yours. I have it at the 20.
Yeah.
Good gracious.
Yeah, thereabouts.
What a game. So Caleb Downs had his breakout. I mean, J.J. Smith stole the show, but Caleb Downs had his breakout performance as a Buckeye, I thought.
No doubt. Let me see what he had for tackles.
Georgia, game over. Georgia's
intercepted in the end zone. That's it, and that's all, folks. So Alabama is going to hold on. Georgia not eliminated yet, with the 12-team playoff. But let's see, Caleb Downs 6 tackles, 3 solos, 1 for a loss. I want to say that was on the series right before halftime where Ohio State got the ball back. He came up on a pass play and knocked the running back for a loss on that play. But every time they needed a play, it seemed like he was the guy who triggered and came downhill. He triggered much better in this game than he has in any of the other games yet for Ohio State. It's kind of like he's been laying back in the weeds and no more laying back in the weeds. I think they've been telling him, go in there and take somebody's head off, and he did it, 5 times today. So, yeah, that's been good to see.
I mean, I don't understand why Caden McDonald doesn't start if Tyleek's out. I mean, Tyleek, obviously, I understand why Tyleek and Ty Hamilton start. But, if one of those guys is out, Caden McDonald, to me, Steve, is clearly the next best defensive tackle.
Yeah, I think you could make that case for that. Caden McDonald today, 3 tackles, 1 for a loss. It looks a lot different without Tyleek Williams in there. I'll just say that. I think that's part of the problem with the way teams have been able to sustain drives on this defense is that they really do miss Tyleek Williams. And he changes kind of the trajectory of everything in that interior. So need to get him back. And, again, it was kind of like Donovan Jackson. They held him out as a precaution, Coach Day said, so he could have played. In an emergency, they decided they did not need him. And, I don't know what to say. I mean, I thought Michigan State was going to give Ohio State a tough game. And, of course, Michigan State did self-destruct with those turnovers, 2 turnovers in the red zone, and also turned it over on downs at the 20-yard line. That's 3 scoring opportunities by the boards for Michigan State. Otherwise, the complexion of this game is much different. But, it was what can you say? Just, another, their 10th consecutive win at East Lansing. And the average was 20 points per game, and that's going to go up because they won today by 31. And their 9th consecutive win over Michigan State since 2015. And those were by an average of 20, and those were by an average of 30, and that's going to stay right around 30 because this was 31. So that's just incredible dominance over what's been one of the better programs in the Big Ten over the last 2 decades.
We'll get you out of here on this. Any final thoughts about the game, press conference, anything else before we get you out of here, Mr. Helwagen?
Travion Henderson was one of the unsung heroes in this game. He picked up 3 or 4 blitzes that allowed them to just do heavy damage with Will Howard throwing the football. So, and I think he picked it up on the Devin Brown play too. Just phenomenal. This guy is becoming an all-around back right before our eyes. Kind of a quiet night for he and Quinshawn running the ball. I think Michigan State was bound and determined not to get beat by the long run, and we're going to make Ohio State try and beat them throwing the ball over the top or dink and dunk them down the field. And Will Howard was the man for that, other than the one bad throw into double coverage. Those two guys from Michigan State were fighting each other for the football. When he threw it, I was like, oh, no. That's a pick. And, just a bad decision on his part. He's entitled to win a game, I guess. So, when you're playing at this level against players this good, I mean, those two guys, Brantley and the guy who intercepted it, Turner, they're pretty good players from Michigan State. So, no disgrace there. But Howard, another great game. Igbuka, another great game. That touchdown on the sideline, wow. Man, I don't know. Great to see G. Scott Jr. get a touchdown early in the game on the 4th down play. The drag route, Andy Andrews was sitting next to me from 11 Warriors. He goes, the tight end drag on 4th down, they've been running that since the 1920s. So, coming across the formation, no one will ever suspect that. And what a great play that. I mean, every time they need a unique play call, I asked Coach Day about that at the end. That end around to Jeremiah Smith, like who's coming up with all these neat wrinkles, when they need a great play call, who's coming up with it? And he and this Chip Kelly cat, I don't know if you've ever heard of him before. They're doing a number on the this is only first Big Ten game, but they're doing a number on these other teams right now. So there you go.
Nice job, Steve. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Hey, Iowa next week. Iowa coming off a bye, so they'll be rested and ready. Going to be a tough one next week back home. Hall of Fame game at Ohio Stadium, 3:30 CBS next week. That's a home game for us, Dave. This is CBS. So there you go.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
I tell you what,
Network of Champions.
Iowa's tough. All right, buddy. All right, man. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate Steve joining the show. Thank you to Steve. Let's get to some of your comments. Yeah, we'll start with Iowa. Steven's pretty confident. Ohio State over Iowa 48-17. It's not going to be that high scoring. There's no way on either side of the ball. Tom is asking score prediction for the Iowa game. Well, I'm not going with Steven's score. I don't know. I have to give that a little bit of thought. I'll probably go something like I don't know. Thinking off the top of my head, something like it just feels like a 34-6 type of game, something like that. 34-7, 31-7, something like that. Something like that. It's not going to be easy, though. I say that. I mean, I'm glad it's not in Iowa City. I'll say that because it was good. All right, let's get to some of your comments here as we finish the show and questions. Yeah, we touched on this a little bit. Ross on YouTube. Why did the defensive backs play so far off the line? It's an easy pass catch for Sparty the entire first half with no adjustments. I know. I don't know why. It'd be one thing if you're like, well, we're not very good at corner. You're great at corner. I mean, Igbenogson wasn't great tonight, but overall, I think he's a very good corner. I mean, Jermaine Matthews is coming off the bench. You're great at corner. Denzel Burke's looking good. I know. I would much rather see them play some press coverage. I don't know. They did adjust, though, at least. I'm with you, though. I'm not going to defend it because I said the exact same thing. I agree with this. David on YouTube. He says, I think Will Howard should throw at least one deep shot every game, even risking an interception. Got to let him know that's in the arsenal. I agree. That's why I didn't mind the interception last week to Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah had a DB right on him. One-on-one coverage, though. I don't care if Jeremiah Smith is one-on-one coverage. Like, he's open if there's one guy on him. Man, if there's two guys on him, he's open, right? I mean, it was just that ball was underthrown. And Jeremiah took the blame for it, so he didn't, like, bust his butt enough. It's like Will tell you that was on Will. Will underthrew it a little bit. But I'm with you, David. I think that's a good point. There's nothing to lose. What worst-case scenario, like last week, you throw the ball deep down the field, it gets picked off. Basically like a punt. Eric is not a Devin Brown fan. I think Julian Sands better than him, but we'll see. I'm still convinced if something happened to Will Howard and they had to like start somebody in a big game, I think it'd be Julian Sands. Hopefully we don't find out. Another comment about the corners being off the line of scrimmage. Yeah, I'm with you guys, man. I get it. Larry on Facebook, quarterback play, passing needs to be a lot better to keep up with the SEC boys. Receivers can't always save them in those games. Yeah, I've been impressed with Will Howard. Not so much tonight. Not that he played terrible, but he needs to play better than this because Michigan State's not a good team. Is Michigan State better than maybe anyone thought? Yes. Are they a good team? No. They're okay. They're the best team Ohio State's faced so far. Low bar, though. I mean, Michigan State's maybe around 13th in the Big Ten if I was doing power rankings. 12th or 13th, right around there. Better than what I expected. Still not good. Not a top 10 team in the Big Ten. But I think Jonathan Smith was a good hire for them. He inherited an absolute mess. Jeez. Kevin saying got a conference road game out of the way before Oregon. Get the road atmosphere jitters out of the system. Yeah, that was a nice little primer for Oregon. Iowa, let's not overlook Iowa. Not that we're going to be playing in the game. We can talk about it. Let's hope the team is not overlooking Iowa. I don't think they will be. Ryan Day is just locked in. I can't imagine they're going to be overlooking Iowa. I think a lot of people after Iowa lost on a last-second field goal to Iowa State were like, oh, yeah, Iowa stinks. Iowa State's pretty good. That's an in-state rivalry. And, again, they lost by 1 point on a last-second field goal. That's a game. Really, I thought Iowa outplayed Iowa State. Iowa State won. And then I thought Minnesota-Iowa would be a really close game last week. Iowa blew out Minnesota. So for Iowa State, what was it, 31-14? That counts as a blowout for Iowa. So their offense, again, it's Iowa. But their offense is definitely better than it's been. They have a really good offensive line, a really good running back, and they have a good defense. We know about Cade McNamara, our old friend Cade McNamara. So limited at quarterback, but not horrible. Again, a really good running back, really good offensive line. This will be a fun game, and I'm glad it's a 3:30 CBS game, and then Oregon the next week. Man, we're getting into the meat. I'm getting into the meat now, my friends. It gets a little bit better each week now. Bam, 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 bam. Absolutely love it. We're getting some predictions in here. 27-14 says Julian on Facebook. Chris is going 24-14 Ohio State. Day 1K on YouTube, 35-0. Hollywood Hagger, 31-13. I'll be disappointed if Iowa scores 13 on this defense. I can see them getting maybe 10. If Iowa gets double digits, I'll be disappointed. No more than 10. Nathan, what's your thoughts about Will Howard's pick? It was bad. Telegraphing the ball, forcing it, everything you can't do. So I agree with what Patrick said, what many of you said. Will Howard's a good quarterback. He's good for 1 or 2 mistakes a game, though. The opener, he was bailed out. He had that really bad backwards pass to Travion that would have been a fumble. Travion jumped on it. That was a bad decision. Again, overall, I like him, though. Gary, 31-3, Ohio State over Iowa. Mark is saying, no way we score under 30 at home. Yeah, I have Ohio State scoring in the 30s here. I think it's going to be 30-something to 6 or 7 or 10 at the most. Something like that. Let's guess the spread. I always think that's fun. Let's guess the spread. Then it'll be Ohio State favored by 18.5. Maybe it's a little low. 19.5. No TCUN trolls in here tonight. Yeah, what happened? Oh, that big 3-point win over Minnesota, which they were not offsides on that onside kick. That was ridiculous that they called that offsides. I mean, come on. Rick is saying Ohio State favored by 16. Mark is saying spread is 23. You guys are 7 points off there. I split the difference there with 19. 23 sounds about right. Spread is 23. Okay. Fred's saying he's picking 34-6 Ohio State, saying the spread is 23. Okay. Spread from Vegas is going to be 18. Well, the spread is 23. So, yeah, that was not offsides in that game. That was really, really, really bad. let's get to some final. I'm glad Will Howard's not. Speaking of Will Howard getting hurt, if we were going to see Julian Sand, good thing we don't need to find out. I mean, I know Devin Brown had to go in there late in the first half, made, decent throw. I mean, Jeremiah Smith made a fantastic catch. I guess Devin put it where only his receiver can get it. Give him credit. But, I'm still of the opinion if Will Howard got hurt and they had to put a quarterback in there, let's say against Oregon, I think it would be Julian Sand. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully we do not find that out. But Emeka Egbuka, man, he's playing his butt off, blocking, everything. I mean, Carnell Tate took that mantle of the best blocking wide receiver, and Emeka was like, hold on, no. Well, I want that. Great. That's why that stuff like that is contagious, and I absolutely love it. David, can't wait to hear Dan Rubin go off Monday on J.J. Smith's performance. That's right. Yeah. It's unbelievable. When you have a guy, again, I use the LeBron example, like when LeBron was when he first entered the NBA at the age of 18, it's like, oh, geez, is he going to be able to live up to the hype? Right away, it's like, he didn't just live up to the hype, he exceeded it, which didn't seem possible. Not that the Cavs won the NBA title when he was a rookie, but seriously, just think about it. I mean, he immediately exceeded the hype LeBron did as a rookie, 18-year-old against these grown men, immediately. J.J. Smith, all this hype, is he going to exceed it? Is he going to live up to it? No, he's going to exceed it. Never would have thought that was possible with all the hype coming in with him. And the recent history of Ohio State true freshman wide receivers not really seeing the field, including Marvin Harrison Jr. and many more. Marvin Harrison Jr. finally saw the field in the Rose Bowl his true freshman year, only because Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson sat out the game to get ready for the draft. Unbelievable how Jeremiah Smith, and even now that he's exceeded the hype in the spring, he exceeded the hype through the first couple of games. It's like, okay, it's probably going to taper off now, right? No, he continues to get better. Unbelievable performance tonight. Rushing touchdown, 2 one-handed catches, including a one-handed touchdown. This kid is unbelievable. And again, as Patrick pointed out, as we wrote about this week, I'm almost as impressed with how he carries himself as I am the fact that he's a stud wide receiver as a true freshman. This kid is almost too good to be true. He is so humble, and it's not like an act. He is his parents raised him well. He's down to earth. And like Patrick said, he has every reason to be a diva. He has every reason to be cocky. None of that with him. None of that. And his teammates, his coaches gush about his work ethic. And you can just see it. He's just, JJ's a freshman. That body's a senior. That body's an NFL veteran. Okay. He carries himself like an NFL veteran. I'm talking like a 5, 6 year, 7 year NFL veteran. I just could not be more impressed with him. LeBron lived up to the hype. Come on. Will Starr's not buying it. Listen, I'm an MJ guy. Not like I'm acting like LeBron's the greatest of all time, because he's not. MJ is. But come on, I mean, I remember it well. Living here in Ohio, I'm like, yeah, geez, coming straight from St. Vincent, St. Mary's. Is he going to be able to live up to the hype? As an 18-year-old kid with these grown men in the NBA, it was like, bam. It was like a West Coast game. His first game in the NBA, it was like they were playing Utah, somebody like that. They're playing out west, the Cavs were. And it was like right away, LeBron exceeded the hype. Yeah, there we go. We agree on that, Will Starr. MJ's the greatest. Jeremy Dunn. How long before they start double covering Jeremiah Smith? Well, if you do that, number 2, number 17, number 1, number 32, the tight ends, everybody. I mean, it's like pick your poison. If you want to just take J.J. Smith out of the game, Ohio State's got 2 stud running backs. They got 2 other really good receivers in Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate is just flying under the radar way too much. He's so good. He's tough. He catches. I mean, I just love the way I loved Carnell Tate, and he's like the number 3 wide receiver on this team. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, if you take J.J. Smith out of the game, okay, Emeka Egbuka is going to burn you. Carnell Tate's going to burn you. They're going to run the ball. Will Howard can run the ball. Tight ends, getting them involved in the game. Let's go. It's very, 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 very impressive. Hunter is asking, he says, I had no audio for the game. Why was Will Howard subbed out? He got a really good shot to the midsection. I don't know if he got the wind knocked out of him or if it was a bruised rib, something like that. Looked like maybe he got the wind knocked out of him. Because you could see, you read his lips. He was telling him, I'm okay. He He was down on the ground like that. So maybe he got the wind knocked out of him, but that was it. That's why Devin Brown went in there. And then they were kind of debating at halftime if Will would go back in there or not. He started the second half. Tough kid. Tom wonders what JJ's ceiling is. I don't know. Saturn, I have no idea. I mean, it's just I didn't think I'd ever see a better true freshman wide receiver at Ohio State than Chris Carter. I'm not saying he's better than Chris Carter yet. And it wasn't the same thing in 1984. It was not in Ryan Day, Chip Kelly offense. Well, they could throw the ball decently well in 84 with Mike Tomczak and Earl Bruce. Earl Bruce head coach, Mike Tomczak quarterback. Not like this, though. So you'd love to see Chris Carter in this offense to see what he could do. But, man, J.J. Smith's going to shatter all of his records regardless. J.J. is unbelievable. Yeah, as Chris says on Facebook, that's exactly the problem for opposing defenses when you face this Ohio State team. If you double cover Jeremiah Smith or any of the wide receivers, another star wide receiver will burn you, as Chris is saying on Facebook. That's exactly right. Did Jelani Thurman play? I'd have to go back there. I think he played. Mark is saying that he did play. Jelani played. They got 5 tight ends that they're getting playing time. Oh, yeah. Will Star says J.J. Smith could absolutely start in the NFL today. For sure he could. For sure. Which is crazy to say about an 18-year-old. He's going to turn 19 here, like next week? Unbelievable. This kid's 18 years old doing these things. Unbelievable. All right, so well, I don't know, man. I mean, here's the thing about the Heisman. I don't know, man. I mean, I think both of those guys, you're saying like Travis Hunter or Jeremiah Smith, I think those two guys probably are the two best players in college football in whatever order. And probably Cam Ward's going to win Heisman. Cam Ward's a good player. It's nothing against Cam Ward. It's just like Travis Hunter and Jeremiah Smith are the two best players in college football. They are. So now maybe Jeremiah needs to play some corner. No, I'm kidding. Maybe I'm kidding. Carlos on X. Did I cover the offensive line? A little bit. Yeah, I thought they were solid. I thought they were pretty good. I need to go back and watch the game. It's really hard when you're watching it live to really get a good feel on the offensive line. Yeah, I thought the offensive line was solid. I thought early on I saw a couple of really good blocks from Tegra. I know he had that penalty, but I thought early on Tegra was looking really good. And yeah, we can't say enough nice things about Travion Henderson in there at 208 pounds, stoning linebackers. Emeka Egbuka pancaked a linebacker on a block. Dude, when those guys are blocking like that, look out. I absolutely love it. All right, my friends, I'm going to wrap it up now. I really appreciate you guys. Yeah, Reese did start. Arvell Reese started. They started 3 linebackers. So Arvell Reese did get the start technically, which was nice. So I really, really appreciate all of you guys joining me here on a Saturday night. Buckeyes 4-0. The chance to go 5-0 next week against Iowa. They moved to 1-0 in Big Ten. You get the first Big Ten game out of the way, first road contest out of the way. Overall, a good performance for Ohio State. Very good, 38-7. I am happy with where this Ohio State team is. And again, another game where they escape, unless I'm missing something, without like a major injury. That's huge. You know, I mean, we keep talking about this is a long season, this and that. We're now 1/3 of the way through the regular season without any major injuries. That's awesome. Let's keep that going. Appreciate you guys very much for joining me. Thank you to all of my guests. Thank you very much to Heath Schneider, my man in Amsterdam. Really appreciate Heater's knowledge. Thank you to Patrick Murphy, live from Spartan Stadium. Really appreciate Patrick's knowledge. Thank you to Steve Helwagen, live from Spartan Stadium. Really appreciate Steve's knowledge. And again, thank you to all of you. Appreciate you guys so much. Hope everyone has a great night and a great rest of your weekend. Go Bucks.